We thought we had seen it all, from mass murders, psychopaths, hooligans, and serial killers to even presidents. Cops have been on a roll arresting people of all types, but have seen cases where they arrest FBI agents. Were they rightly arrested? And do wrongful arrests of law enforcement officials call for the arrest with heavier punishments? Join us as we check a look at bizarre cases where dumb decisions from cops take them to rather odd position. So why don't we just kick things off with a crossover story of an FBI agent who has been wrongfully jailed? In our first case, the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department detained a former FBI agent for no apparent reason. It was a bizarre and ridiculous incident. As it turned out, Roger Golubski, a former detective, had been falsely accused of assaulting two black women between 1998 and 2002. There have been 2 accusations, to be exact. The real question is, however, how did the Kansas City police force allow him to get away with it for so long? Roger Golubski's unsolved case was discovered by the FBI while it was looking into the Kansas City Police Department's behavior. The former detective had a history of sexually assaulting women over the course of his 35-year career as a police officer and had been trading drugs for information. Lamonte McIntyre, a young black man, was accused of committing a double homicide by Golubski during his time as a police officer. McIntyre was ultimately freed after serving 24 years in prison without proper cause as a result. Golubski was taken into custody by the FBI on suspicion of 6 counts of sexually assaulting 2 black women. He has since entered a not guilty plea. Despite the jury rejecting his lawyer's request for release on medical grounds, he was kept in custody for routine medical examination. Black woman Rhonda Tribute, whose corpse was discovered in 1998, was one of Golubski's informants. Her case remains unsolved despite the fact that the investigation was started but never finished. She died, and Golubski's involvement is now being called into question by many people. That is exactly what we are saying. Many civil rights advocates across the nation have praised the arrest of Golubski, but it also raises serious questions about police behavior and the abuse of their authority. According to Tricia Bullnell, the director of the Midwest Innocence Project, a full investigation into the abuses in Wyandotte County and systematic reforms are needed to ensure that no other police officers and public officials can continue to abuse their power. As more of Golubski's crimes were discovered, it became clear that the Kansas City Police Department needed significant restructuring. Several inquiries remain unanswered as a result of the FBI's inquiry into the department. Roger Golubski's arrest was long overdue, but it's worth noting that it was the FBI, not the Kansas City Police, who brought him to justice. Next up, with the arrest of 2 Drug Enforcement Administration officers by the FBI in Nassau County, Florida, the situation has unexpectedly turned around. The DEA, a law enforcement organization renowned for its aggressive efforts to combat the drug trade, has charged 2 officers with drug-related offenses. But the system's level of dysfunction clearly remains unclear. While selling drugs, including cocaine, that had been seized to willing customers, Sergeant James Hickox was captured with his hand in a cookie jar. His greed knew no bounds as he also combined drugs with other substances to make up the weight difference and kept parts for himself. In his bedroom closet, the FBI discovered 3 shoeboxes, each containing $100,000 in cash. They also discovered another $200,000 hidden in his garage. Hickox claimed that he borrowed the funds for his claim by partaking in his gambling habit when asked where the money came from. Hickox's actions have hurt the DEA's reputation and are obviously a breach of his obligations as a law enforcement officer. Joshua Erie, a highway inspector, had been covered in the same drugs that had to be seized, even going so far as to legally approve the prescription of 43 oxycodone pills. He purchased drugs from drug dealers. As if that weren't enough, while under the influence of drugs, he acquired a gun. Due to the fact that he was trusted with the law rather than the law itself, Erie's actions were not only wrong, but also dangerous. The surprise arrest of these officers leaves the public wondering just how pervasive corruption is within law enforcement organizations. Sheriff Bill Leeper expressed his dissatisfaction by saying, "I think we need to make sure law enforcement personnel who violate the law are held accountable. When I learned of the accusations, I was shocked, let down, repulsed, and beyond angry. These incidents where the police ran into the FBI were some of the most shocking ones. We now look at our last and final case. A significant mishap that made headlines involved the case of mistaken identity between a Florida deputy and an FBI agent. When he received a call from a man claiming to be an FBI agent and asking to meet him in a nearby parking lot, Officer Gordon found himself in a precarious situation. This is a classic illustration of what can go wrong if a person doesn't confirm the identity of the person they're meeting, especially when speaking to a police officer. I do, but I don't understand what the problem is with your meeting me at the office. I'll talk to the U.S. Attorney's Office about it. Cut off the recording device now." "Okay, well, I will when I leave the area, sir." "Well, I will when I leave the area, sir." Asked the officer to turn off his recording device. Suspicions should have been aroused. However, Officer Gordon continued to record the conversation, a classic move. This was a wise decision as well, because it provided proof of what had happened, which, as you can probably guess, didn't turn out too well for Officer Gordon. Despite Agent Hatton's efforts to persuade Gordon that he was an FBI agent, the officer was skeptical and demanded to know how the agent obtained his phone number. Given the predicament the officer was in, it is not shocking that he requested assistance and handcuffed Agent Hatton. However, things started to spiral out of control. It got worse when Hatton shut the car door, especially considering how hot it was in Florida. It's fortunate that Agent Hatton's condition didn't worsen because Gordon made a bad choice in doing this. Concerns were raised by Officer Gordon regarding Agent Hatton's investigation into the actions of law enforcement agencies in North Florida. Agent Hatton's claims that he was an FBI agent may not have been taken seriously by the officer because he was aware of the widespread corruption within the police department and worried about being connected to it. Let's say his ego overcame him. The hour-long incident took place on December 20 in a parking lot off U.S. Highway 98 in the coastal fishing community, 45 miles southwest of Tallahassee. Due to the heat, Agent Hatton, who was shielded from the elements by a bulletproof vest and had limited access to air conditioning, started to experience health problems like nausea and suffocation. He, however, avoided a fatal situation by being taken to a nearby hospital, where he received treatment for dehydration and heat exhaustion before being released. What do you think of our list? Do you think there are more corrupt officials out there? Sound off in the comments below. And while you are at it, make sure to hit subscribe and leave a like for more such content. Thanks for watching.
In September 2014, a concerning incident unfolded during a police accountability march in Lynn, Massachusetts, shedding light on officers allegedly breaking the law while being captured on camera. The incident was documented by Ms. Bay, the founder of the Bay State Examiner, an independent media source focused on police interactions and accountability. While attending the march, Ms. Bay noticed an undercover police officer trailing the protest in an unmarked vehicle. Seeking accountability, she approached the officer to request his name and badge number. In a startling turn of events, the officer reportedly hit her with his vehicle.
Howdy. Sorry to bother again. Oh, hey!
Can I have your IDs?
You
guys right? Both your IDs. Pardon me? I need both your IDs.
What's the lawful reason for the request?
Because you're on private property. I'll say yeah.
I'm on private property and you get to see my...
In the back lot. You were on private property. You asked you needed to take your time. I need your IDs. IDs?
Can I have yours?
I don't have one.
Oh, alright.
Well, go to the chief. We are.
Sure.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Can we speak to the chief? This officer has invited us to speak with him.
This incident prompted Miss Bay to take matters into her own hands. Days later, Miss Bay ventured to the Lynn Police Station's back lot in pursuit of evidence regarding the vehicle that had allegedly struck her. Her efforts were met with resistance from an unidentified officer who swiftly expelled her from the premises. Undeterred, she entered the police department building to file a formal complaint about the incident and to seek officer identifications. The encounter within the police station would go on to raise a myriad of legal and ethical concerns. The situation escalated when the officers on duty refused to identify themselves and labeled Miss Bay's presence as trespassing on private property. Massachusetts law, however, stipulates that police officers are required to carry identification cards and display them upon a lawful request. This refusal constituted a violation of this legal obligation.
You're welcome
What
to come
sense?
back there and take a look after.
Okay. Oh, after? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we need your IDs now.
I'm not interested in showing that at this
No?
I'm not. Yeah.
Alright, so you guys are refusing? Alright, then we'll just leave.
So you can go.
We want to check the...
Yeah, I was gonna say, you've invited us to speak with the
Chief's
chief.
a busy guy.
Oh.
You just suggested we talk to the chief.
Well,
Yeah, but I guess apparently he's not...
I'm sorry,
He
what's...
just told you to do that, right?
No, you told us to talk to the chief.
Yeah, and you came around here and he's not coming down here.
Oh, right.
So maybe you should call him
Call
and
the
make an appointment with him.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. We can do that.
And may I have both of your names and ID
the
cards?
time.
It's badge 88.
Badge 88.
Badge 88?
Yep.
The officers ordered Miss Bay to vacate the premises, accusing her of creating a disturbance and trespassing. In response, she asserted her right to continue recording for news-gathering purposes. A crucial distinction emerged. While Massachusetts acknowledges the right to record police, this right is not absolute and must adhere to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions that safeguard officer safety, informants, and victims. The incident also underscored the nuanced relationship between the First Amendment and trespassing laws. While Miss Bay's intent to file a complaint justified her presence to some extent, officers claimed she was trespassing and sought to remove her from the building. Legal precedents highlighted the complexity of these issues, including the right to record police versus the limitations imposed on such activities within police stations.
Not with you. Who do I make a complaint with?
The chief's the best guy.
The chief's the best guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make an appointment.
Okay.
What's up with that? What is it that you're looking for?
Well, I found the car that hit me on Friday. I was reporting it earlier. It's out back.
Okay, and what are you doing going in private property videotaping police cars?
What private property?
The property that's parked out back there posted is no trespassing, authorized personnel only.
I didn't see that.
Well, it's posted all over the entrances to that parking lot.
Interesting.
It is interesting, but it is also posted.
Okay.
You're subject to arrest for going back into private property.
Am I being
Videotaping
arrested?
police cars. Huh?
Am I being
I
arrested?
said you are subject to arrest.
Okay.
Despite these legal complexities, officers' conduct raised questions about their intentions and commitment to accountability. Their refusal to take Ms. Bay's claims seriously and their hindrance of her ability to file a complaint cast doubts on their willingness to engage transparently with civilian concerns. The encounter raised concerns about the potential misuse of laws to deter individuals from lodging complaints against law enforcement officers. In the aftermath of the incident, Ms. Bay submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the Lynn's Record Department.
The officer in charge will be out with you when he gets a second.
Okay.
Talk to you and get your complaint.
Well, somebody does need to tell
Okay.
him that that's what's going
Well,
on.
if he's
because
already done that, then your complaint has been filed and documented.
There's information that he literally doesn't have because I didn't have it until right now. When I went back, I found the car. So I would like to tell him that the car is back there, that it's been repaired, even though they didn't report it, I guess. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm filming this for news gathering purposes at this point.
Yet her efforts were met with resistance, and it remains uncertain whether the department ever responded to her request. Her documentation of the event and her subsequent efforts to highlight the challenges faced by citizens seeking accountability and transparency within law enforcement agencies. Now let's move on to the next investigation. In a noteworthy incident that unfolded on June 5, 2015, the spotlight fell on Michael Hoffman, a private investigator and an advocate for the First Amendment. The scenario took place in Jacksonville, Florida, as Hoffman engaged in conducting surveillance as part of a case. His objective was to track down an individual's movements and actions across multiple locations. However, the situation took an unexpected turn when the person under surveillance alleged that Hoffman was stalking her.
Investigator of some sort?
Can I ask why you pulled me over, sir?
I pulled you over because the young ladies came over there and said you've been following her since she left the airport yesterday. So I want to know who you are.
Have I committed a crime?
No, but I'm conducting an investigation. Have you been following that young lady? I mean, if you're an investigator, investigate what? But if you're somebody harassing her or stalking her, that's against the law. Me pulling you over to find out who you are is me doing my job.
Am I free to go?
No, you are not. Not until I find out who you are. I'm conducting an investigation. Do you have your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance on you?
Have you pulled me for a traffic violation, sir?
No, sir, I've already explained that to you. Now you can play the back and forth rigmarole.
This accusation prompted a response from law enforcement, specifically an officer from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. The encounter between Hoffman and the officer was marked by a clash of rights and principles. As the officer initiated a traffic stop, the interaction was captured on camera and later disseminated on the Awakening the Masses YouTube channel. The video depicted the exchange as the officer sought to ascertain the veracity of the stalking claim. He engaged Hoffman in conversation, asking about his identity, purpose, and whether he was an investigator. Hoffman's response was calculated and assertive. He began by asking the officer the reason for pulling him over, which initiated a dialogue regarding the stalking allegation. The officer cited the complainant's assertion that Hoffman had been tailing her since previous day. Despite Hoffman's protestations, the officer deemed it necessary to investigate the matter. He explained that his actions were guided by the need to ascertain whether Hoffman was involved in harassing or stalking behavior, which is legally prohibited.
Oh, tell them to come up here. We're at the 8100 block of Arlington Square.
I don't answer questions, Deputy.
You don't answer questions. You just stalk young ladies. So just stand by then. Stand by.
Your name and badge number, Deputy? Your name and badge number, Deputy?
Hey, buddy, what's going on here?
Name and badge number, sir?
Simpson 66190.
Masinsin, M-A-S-I-N-S-I-N. Sir, I'd like to know why I'm being detained.
No, someone's saying that you're claiming you're stalking them. Are you an investigator or anything?
Okay, let me make this clear, sir. I would like for you to articulate what crime you...
The crux of the disagreement hinged on the rights invoked by Hoffman. When the officer requested identification, Hoffman invoked his Fifth Amendment rights, a constitutional privilege against self-incrimination. This assertion caused a pivotal shift in the interaction, as Hoffman insisted he would only speak in the presence of legal counsel. The officer, seemingly perplexed by this response, requested that Hoffman bring his attorney to the scene for further questioning. Hoffman's stance was rooted in legal principles. He argued that during a Terry stop, law enforcement could pose a limited number of questions to establish identity and to determine if any suspicions were valid. However, Hoffman remained steadfast in asserting that he was under no obligation to answer questions without the presence of legal representation, especially considering the potential implications of his responses. The officer's actions were grounded in the assumption that a stalking accusation, combined with a corroborated vehicle description, constituted reasonable suspicion for a stop and investigation. This view aligned with legal precedent, exemplified by the 2002 case of United States v. Sokolow, which allows law enforcement to act on a tip if it bears indicia of reliability. The Supreme Court has ruled that reasonable suspicion necessitates a particularized and objective basis for suspecting wrongdoing. Despite the differing interpretations, the encounter eventually concluded with the officer permitting Hoffman to leave. The tension between rights and responsibilities underscored the complexity of police-citizen interactions.
Some professional courtesy and treat me with the respect I deserve. What is your name and badge number?
Well, here's sir. I gave you mine. 0051.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Deputy. Was that so hard?
No.
The law states I don't have to give my name and information unless you suspect me of committing a crime.
You don't.
Then am I free to go? Because this is an illegal detainment.
That's this time.
This is an illegal detainment.
But like I said, your criminal action description we were given.
I respect
doesn't
that.
mean
I respect
you're guilty.
That. I respect that. You're talking to the next law enforcement officer, buddy. Now, I understand you're doing no fault with that. You are doing your job.
Okay.
And the mere fact that I'm exercising my legal rights does not make...
Shedding light on the importance of understanding legal rights during such encounters. Hoffman's case emphasized that individuals have the right to remain silent and request legal counsel during a Terry stop, while officers must balance their duty to investigate with the requirement to respect constitutional rights. The incident became a case study in navigating the delicate balance between law enforcement's duty to investigate and an individual's rights to privacy and legal protection. As the video disseminated, it sparked discussions about the scope of police authority during stops, the validity of accusations, and the intricacies of the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. Michael Hoffman's assertiveness in upholding his rights and the officer's attempts to fulfill his duty encapsulated a pivotal moment in the ongoing dialogue about law enforcement practices and individual freedoms. Now let's take a look at the next investigation. In April 2020, a situation involving Keelan Hill and Denver police officers unfolded after a minor traffic incident on Interstate 25 in Colorado. The incident escalated into legal disputes, allegations of rights violations, and concerns over police conduct. The episode began when Keelan Hill, age 25, called 911 after a minor collision with two other drivers. Officer Thomas Ludwig of the Denver Police Department arrived at the scene and initiated discussions with the other individuals involved while Hill was being evaluated by paramedics inside an ambulance. The situation took a turn when Hill exited the ambulance and noticed Officer Ludwig searching his vehicle without consent.
What are you doing? Stepping to me, huh? What the f is in my face? What don't think so, dude. What is this? Oh, what am I? What the f?
What are you stopping the cops for, man?
I did not ask you to get out of my car.
No, I watched you. I got you on my video camera.
I asked you to get out of my car. That's it.
You're being an asshole to everybody.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Oh. Let's get back to work, brother. Ow. I'm trying to hit my up. Fine. What did happen? You got hip about it too, huh? Wow.
On probation, I'm sure.
I'm not on probation.
The probation officer's gonna love that.
I'm not on probation at all.
The officer claimed he detected the odor of marijuana, implying that this gave him the authority to conduct the search. The legality of such searches based on marijuana odor varies across states, and in Colorado, where recreational marijuana is legal, the odor can contribute to probable cause for a search. However, legal nuances exist. Hill confronted Officer Ludwig about the search, leading to a heated argument. The officer's aggressive response escalated the tension instead of employing de-escalation techniques. While Hill's behavior might have prompted concern, it's questionable whether it warranted the officer's level of aggression. Hill was arrested and charged with interference with police activity. These charges were later dropped, but the incident spurred Hill to file a lawsuit against the city of Denver and the involved officers.
I'm not intoxicated at all.
Go ahead and have a seat in there.
Go for it. Please go for it.
Okay, have a seat.
Y'all are illegally searching my car.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Put your feet up.
Bro.
Push yourself all the way back.
He alleged violations of his First and Fourth Amendment rights and claimed damages, including missing a master's degree final exam due to his incarceration. Critiques of the officer's conduct centered on several points. Firstly, despite the possible legality of the initial search, the decision to arrest Hill was deemed unnecessary and potentially unconstitutional. Officer Ludwig's unprofessional behavior, particularly his failure to de-escalate the situation, garnered criticism. His confrontational approach escalated the disagreement rather than diffusing it, highlighting the significance of emotional awareness in police interactions. Moreover, the officers faced criticism for their response to Hill's request for medical assistance. According to the Denver Police Department's Operation Manual, officers are required to provide medical attention to individuals in custody. Hill's expression of uncertainty about his injury should have prompted a more compassionate response from the officers, as opposed to the callous indifference displayed. This incident underscores the complexities of police interactions and the importance of effective de-escalation techniques. While the legality of certain actions can be ambiguous, officers should prioritize public safety and citizens' rights. Emotions and situational awareness play crucial roles in determining the outcome of such encounters.